Oreana has been acting very strangely ever since Carter confessed his love for her in the last episode. Perhaps she struggles with commitment, or she doesn't see a future with Carter and views him as nothing more than a passing curiosity until she meets someone much more intriguing. However, Beth had previously informed Oreana that Carter had a pure heart, meaning he is unaware of the games affluent people play with one another's emotions. Oreana appeared aloof when Carter entered the gathering and approached her to say hello. She was occupied with a conversation with Harrison Williams, a former college friend who appeared to be a boy from a powerful family, similar to Oreana's. But when Harrison first met Carter, Oreana referred to him as her friend. It was strange to Carter because, in his opinion, they were clearly more than just friends. Then, as if Carter didn't exist at all, Oreana asked him to fetch himself a drink, i.e., leave, and resumed her conversation with her wealthy friend. What then transpired between them? That's what Carter has been attempting to understand after all. Why did Oreana seem to be ignoring him? Was it because he told her he loved her? In this case, I'm just as perplexed as Carter was. When Sheriff Wade noticed Carter observing Harrison and Oreana from a distance, he kindly advised him that wealthy people tend to congregate at events like these. I suppose he was attempting to convey that Oreana kept Carter at a distance because she didn't want her affluent relatives and acquaintances to learn that she was seeing a ranch boy. Carter, however, was too innocent to recognize this pretense of the wealthy. So Wade advised him to avoid her and her wealthy buddy, as well as any bad business. The problem is that Wade was correct in this instance. He was merely attempting to protect the child, and it seems that Carter was also in the wrong because he was unable to see why the wealthy valued their reputation and image more than their personal emotions. When Carter confronted Oreana at the pub and asked if she had gone fishing with her college boy and slept with him, his already damaged heart was absolutely destroyed. Carter appeared to have consumed a lot of alcohol that evening and was unable to control his speech. I concur that what Oreana did to him was terrible, and that Carter wasn't equipped to deal with it, but his treatment of Oreana at the bar was also unacceptable. Carter had no right to inquire about her private life because it was her life and her decision to sleep with whoever she chose, particularly since she wasn't in a relationship with him, at least not formally. She told Carter that she had slept with Harrison in order to inflict further pain and damage to his ego. As soon as she left, a devastated Carter took up a bottle and drank it all. After admiring all the taxidermied heads on Bulah's wall, he entered her mansion and proceeded directly to his office. To tell the truth, I have no idea what Carter was attempting to do or even thinking. Perhaps he was too inebriated to comprehend what he was doing. Or perhaps it was something Oreana said to him before turning to leave. She claimed that Carter was nothing more than a wounded steer, a simp who couldn't even defend himself. While Harrison was a bull who knew what he wanted, Carter sought to prove to Oreana that he was a bull in front of her guests, because, I suppose, the lines stuck with him. Carter pulled down Bulah's ancestor's taxidermied longhorn head, a family artifact, from her office and carried it outside to the celebration. Once more, I have no idea why he chose the longhorn head in particular. I don't think anyone ever told Carter the backstory of that longhorn. So perhaps he picked it because it was the only taxidermied head he could get his hands on and carried it outside to make a statement. Bulah yelled at Carter to put down the longhorn head when she saw him at the party, but it was already too late, and he wasn't thinking well. Bulah suffered a panic episode or cardiac arrest and fell to the ground when he violently bashed the head into the ground and damaged one of its horns. Carter will eventually open up to his adoptive parents and share everything that has been bothering him lately, including Dwight's death, Oreana acting strangely toward him, and Rip and Beth being overly protective of him, which is preventing him from being himself. I assume that Rip and Beth will question Carter about what he was really thinking by pulling this stunt. Will Bulah or her successor allow Carter to return to their ranch now that he has destroyed their family heirloom? Rip had requested Carter to assist him at the 10-Petal Ranch on the weekends before leaving for the celebration. We'll see, I suppose. In addition, is there still hope for Carter and Oreana's relationship, or is it doomed to fail? I can't respond to that, but I believe Beth will confront Oreana once she learns the cause behind Carter's excessive drinking and smashing of the longhorn head, as Oreana is the only one responsible for Carter's strange conduct. Oreana went and broke his heart, despite Beth's warnings not to do so. As a result, Beth will speak with her and request that she never again be involved in her son's life. Is Carter's desire the same? That is the sole question. Bulah's 190th celebration had been a significant day for her, which may be why she was carefully reviewing the plans to make sure there was no chance of a mistake that would ruin her lavish celebration. She even requested that her cowboys take their group to Split Heart because one of them would frequently overindulge in alcohol and create a disastrous mess. However, it seems that her fears were soon realized. The adopted son of her new foreman caused a commotion at the party and destroyed her family treasure in front of her, not one of her ranch hands. Rob Will's return and his threats to kill Joaquin added to the pressure Bulah had been under since the morning. Unable to maintain her composure, she ordered a neat whiskey before taking the stage in order to summon the courage to make an announcement that she didn't want to make, but had to. She informed her guests that Rob will be delivering this speech in 5 years as the new leader of 10 Petal Ranch, their beef company, and their planned ranch-to-table steak line, which is run by Beth and Rip. Bulah couldn't even stand straight when Zane Nash informed her that she couldn't retire, especially since he had been using her tail to close the sale. She may have had a panic attack or anything similar when she witnessed Carter destroying her longhorn after consuming too much alcohol. As if experiencing a sudden ache, Bulah gripped her shoulder, more specifically, the region next to her neck, and fell to the ground. Soon after, McKinney summoned an air ambulance to take her to the hospital right away and reassured her that nothing would happen to her. Bulah will undoubtedly make it to the hospital in time and survive the attack because we saw an air ambulance arriving at Jackson's property in the show's primary trailer. If you look at it the other way, though, Rob might benefit from Bulah's absence from the ranch because his mother had just declared him to be her successor and he could manage the company whatever he pleased, while Bulah was in the hospital. And the man who had previously hit him in the face, Rip Wheeler, might confront him directly about this. I believe that many significant questions are left unsolved at the conclusion of Episode 7. First, there is the issue of how Rip and Beth will handle Rob while Bulah is away. As we already know, Zane Nash disapproved of Bulah's choice to give Rob her empire since everyone knew he was nothing more than a drug addict, and none of Zane's clients or customers would be interested in hearing about an addict. Will Zane keep his contract with 10 Petal when Bulah steps down? I believe he will be skeptical, but Beth will persuade him to stay in the end. The second question concerns Rob reaction to Carter ruining their family treasure and hospitalizing his mother. Will he continue to allow Rip to remain his foreman? Since he has no other choice, and retaining Rip is the only way he can convince his mother that he can manage the company effectively, I believe he will have to. Therefore, despite Rob short fuse, he might not allow his demons to control him or start a battle with Rip and Beth, preferring to let them carry out their duties for the company's success. Thirdly, will Bulah pardon Carter? That will depend, I suppose, on whether Oreana tells her grandmother the truth about what transpired between her and Carter at the party and whether Carter eventually expresses regret for his actions. We'll have to observe. Finally, what will Bulah do when she gets back from the hospital? Rob and Bulah will inevitably fight, since no one wants Rob to lead the ranch, and Bulah, who has spent her entire life defending her children, could finally have to sacrifice one in order to preserve another. Additionally, it appears that we already know that she will sacrifice Rob in order to preserve her heritage, which she has been persuaded she values more than her family. There are 3 possible outcomes. First, Bulah murders Rob in the same manner as she murdered his father. Second, Bulah employs someone to get rid of Rob on her behalf. Finally, Rob kills himself by excavating his own grave since, as we all know, he has a terrible temper. It's possible, though, that he gets into another altercation with Rip and is ultimately slain. But regardless of how Rob dies, Oreana will undoubtedly hold her grandma responsible for her father's passing and develop a lifelong hatred for her. They didn't want to ask too many questions. They just wanted to do their duties and be paid. So, by bringing this up, did Austin make a mistake or endanger his life? I believe so. You can already see Michael, Beulah's right hand, sitting in the bar watching the Cowboys. While Bulah is away, he will tell Rob Will, the new ranch caretaker, about Austin and the noise he has been making. And since you already know how Rob Will deals with men who talk too much or ask too many questions, I think Rob will either confront Austin to teach him the value of keeping his mouth shut, or he will just permanently silence him, just like he did with Wes Ayers. Although I don't believe Austin will suffer the same fate as Wes, at least not while Rip is still around. I am now pretty concerned about him. These are my opinions and theories regarding the 7th episode of Dutton Ranch. Please feel free to ask any more questions in the comments section.